Welcome back from the ad break, and let's continue with our questions. So now we are going to move into our application questions. Let's look at the first one. It says the figure below is given with an angle of 3x minus 10 degrees and angle x plus 100 degrees as shown below. Calculate with reasons the values of x, y, and z. So when we are looking at these angles here that have been given to us, we can see that two of them have been given as an expression. So that is the 3x minus 10 degrees and the x plus 100 degrees. But look at where these angles are placed. In the diagram, we can see that it has been shown to us that EF is parallel to GH. Now, looking at the two expressions that have been given to us, that is 3x minus 10 degrees and the x plus 100 degrees, they are in the same relative position, which means that they are corresponding, since there is a transversal there. So they are corresponding angles. But now, because we have parallel lines, then that means that not only are they corresponding, but they are also equal. So that means that our 3x minus 10 degrees is equal to x plus 100 degrees. And our reason for that is the corresponding angles. Now, these corresponding angles are also equal because EF is parallel to GH. Now, we need to solve for x, and we can only achieve that by making sure that the like terms are together. And we use that using additive inverses. So we are going to use the additive inverse of that minus 10. So we are going to have x plus 100 degrees, and we are going to add that 10 degrees. And on this side, we are only left with the 3x. So that gives us x plus 110 degrees. Then we are going to use the additive inverse of the x. That means we're going to have 3x minus x, and that is 110 degrees. Now, 3x minus x is 2x. And that is equals to 110 degrees. And when we use the multiplicative inverse of 2, that is 1/2, or that is the same as dividing by 2, we are going to find that x is equals to 55 degrees. So our x is equals to 55 degrees. Now let's calculate now the value of our y and our z. Now, because we found the value for x, that means that we can find the actual value for this angle here and not only work with an expression. So we have 3x minus 10. Now, if we substitute the value of x, which is 55 degrees, and we all remember how to use a substitution, we are going to put in the place of x 55 degrees, and we are going to then subtract that 10 degrees. So 3 multiplied by 55, that is 165 degrees. And we are going to subtract 10 degrees. That will give us a value of 155 degrees. And you will see that the same is true for this other equation. Remember, because they are corresponding, it means they are equal. So when we substitute 55 in the place of x here and we add 100 degrees, that gives us 155 degrees. That means that is the value of that angle there. So now that we know that this angle is 155 degrees, what does that mean for our y? Now we look at y and we can see that this angle here with the y, they are on opposite sides of a common vertex and they are formed by two intersecting lines, which means that they are vertically opposite. Because they are vertically opposite angles that are formed by two intersecting lines, then that makes them equal. So this means that y is equals to 155 degrees. And the reason for this is that those vertically opposite angles those vertically opposite angles, they are equal. Right. Then we have our Z, and if we look at where Z is placed, it is, of course, on the inside of a parallel line, just like this 155 degrees. It is on the inside of a parallel line. So because they are between two parallel lines on the same side of a transversal, that makes them co-interior angles. And co-interior angles are supplementary. Why? Only because of the parallel lines. So that means that Z plus the 155 degrees, that is equals to 180 degrees. And our reason for that is the co-interior angles. And they are only supplementary because EF is parallel to GH. So what does this mean? If we want Z, we need to use the additive inverse of 155. So we are going to say 180 minus 155 degrees. That means there that our Z will be equals to, so what is 180 minus 55? If you have 180 minus 155, not 55, 155. So if you have the 25 degrees, then you are absolutely correct, because 180 minus 155, that gives us 25 degrees. So that means that our Z there is 25 degrees. Let's move on to our next question. So the next question there says, the figure below is given where NP is perpendicular to LM and NP is parallel to ST. We are also given that N is equals to M. Now calculate with reasons the value of M, N, and L. So we are told that NP and LM are perpendicular. So there is LM and there is NP. Now, do you remember what perpendicular means? It means that they intersect at 90 degrees. So we already know that that angle there is 90 degrees. So let's calculate N, M, and angle L. So we are going to start by calculating N and M. Now, when we look at angle N and angle M, they share a common vertex with our 90 degrees. So this means that they are all on a straight line. So what does this mean? It means that angle N plus our 90 degrees plus our angle M, they will add up to 180 degrees. And our reason for this is that they are on a straight line. So as we know, the angles on a straight line, they add up to 180 degrees. Now, we have here, when we use the additive inverse of 90 to find the value of N and M, so we are going to say there that N plus M is equals to 180 degrees minus our 90 degrees. Now this gives us N plus M is equals to 90 degrees. But if we go back to our statement, we have been told that N is equals to M, or angle N is equals to angle M. So that is given information. So we can say there, but angle M is equals to angle M. And that was given to us. What does this mean? It means, what does this mean? It means that because our angle N plus our angle M is equals to 90 degrees and they are equal, it means that our N is equals to our M, which will be equals to our 90 degrees divided by 2, which means that each of them are equals to 45 degrees. So our angle N is 45 degrees and our angle M is 45 degrees. Now let's go over to calculating our angle L. Now remember, in the statement we were also given that NP is parallel to ST. Now what comes to mind when we see parallel lines? Yes, you should be thinking of those corresponding angles, the alternating angles, and the co-interior angles. Now, when we look at our angle L, we can see that it is corresponding to our given 90 degrees. And this is only because of those parallel lines. So what does this mean? It means that angle L is equals to 90 degrees, and our reason for that is because of those corresponding angles. So remember, the corresponding angles, they are equal, and this is only possible because of those parallel lines. So we will say there that NP is parallel to ST, and that is the information that we were given there. So then we have calculated the values of our N, our M, and our L. Let's move on to our next question. Now our next question there says that in the following figure, VW is perpendicular to CD, D is equals to 70 degrees. So we are going to just place the D there, and B is equals to 10 degrees. So we are going to place the B in that 10 degrees. Now it says they calculate with reasons the values of angles A, B, C, E, and F. So we can start off here with angle E. Now when we are looking at angle E there, we can see that E is formed from PQ and line VW. Of course, there's supposed to be a V over there. So VW with PQ, they are forming angles there. And because it shares a common vertex with angle B, so E shares a common vertex with angle B, and it is on opposite sides of that common vertex. And they are also formed from two intersecting lines. What does this mean? It means that they are vertically opposite to each other. And since as well B has been given as 10 degrees, which means we won't be calculating for B because it is given, it means that E is also 10 degrees. And the reason for this is because they are vertically opposite angles. And vertically opposite angles are equal. But they are equal only if the angles are formed by two intersecting lines. And we can see that from the lines VW and PQ. So that means that that angle there is 10 degrees. Then we move on to calculating another angle. Well, there is one obvious angle here, and that is angle F. Remember, we were told that VW is perpendicular to CD. Now, where VW and CD meet, it should form a 90 degrees, not only because it is shown there for us, but also because we were told that VW is perpendicular to CD. So that means that angle F there is 90 degrees. And this is because CD is perpendicular to VW, or VW is perpendicular to CD, which means they intersect at a 90 degrees. Now, the next angle that we can look at is angle A. Now, angle A and B are in the same relative position as angle F. So we can see there that angle A and angle B are in the same position as angle F. Now, this means that they are corresponding. But because we have the two parallel lines, now we've been shown that AB is parallel to CD. So because we have the two parallel lines, what does this mean? It means that those two corresponding angles are equal. So this means that A plus B is equals to the 90 degrees, or let's rather put is equals to F first, so we can see the relationship between those two corresponding angles. And of course, our reason is the corresponding angles. And the only reason why they are equal is because AB is parallel to CD. So now angle A is the one that we don't have. B has been given as 10 degrees, and angle F we have seen there that it is 90 degrees. So how are we going to solve for our angle A? We are going to use the additive inverse of our 10, and we are going to subtract 10 from 90. So this is going to give us that A is equals to 80 degrees. So now we know that our A there is 80 degrees. So we've calculated F, we've calculated E, we've calculated A, and we've been given B and D. The only one that is left is to calculate our C. Now, when we look at our C, we can see that it is sharing a common vertex with angle A, B, and D. So they are all sharing a common vertex, and not only are they sharing a common vertex, but they are also on a straight line. So because they are on a straight line, this means that they are supplementary, which means that they add up to 180 degrees. So this is A plus B plus C plus D. That is going to give us 180 degrees. And our reason for this is that angles on a straight line, they are supplementary, or they add up to 180 degrees. Now A we found as 80 degrees, and we found B as 10 degrees. Then we are looking for our C, and our D there is our 70 degrees, and this is all equals to 180 degrees because all the angles add up to 180 degrees. Now, when we add all of these angles here, we have 160 degrees plus C is equals to 180 degrees. How are we going to solve for C? By using the additive inverse of 160. So we are going to say 180 minus 160, and that is going to give us 20 degrees. This means that that angle of C is 20 degrees. And that is how we have calculated for all those angles, angles A, C, E, and angle F. Let's quickly go to an ad break, and then we'll see you just now.